I was listening to a broadcast on audible anarchism. I heard this amazing essay written over 100 years ago. Sounds like it could have been written last week. It is stunningly relevant. Please listen with an open mind and see if you can pick out anything happening in American society today that matches up. Without further ado, The Spirit of Revolt, Introduction by Peter Kropotkin. There are periods in the life of human society when revolution becomes an imperative necessity, when it proclaims itself as inevitable. New ideas germinate everywhere, seeking to force their way into the light, to find an application in life. Everywhere, they are opposed by the inertia of those whose interest it is to maintain the old order. They suffocate in the stifling atmosphere of prejudice and traditions. The accepted ideas of the constitution of the state, of the laws of social equilibrium, of the political and economic interrelations of citizens can hold out no longer against the implacable criticism which is daily undermining them whenever occasion arises. In drawing room as in cabaret, in the writings of philosophers as in daily conversation, political, economic, and social institutions are crumbling. The social structure, having become uninhabitable, is hindering, even preventing, the development of the seeds which are being propagated within its damaged walls and being brought forth around them. The need for a new life becomes apparent. The code of established morality, that which governs the greater number of people in their daily life, no longer seems sufficient. What formerly seemed just is now felt to be a crying injustice. The morality of yesterday is today recognized as a revolting immorality. The conflict between new ideas and old tradition flames up in every class of society, in every possible environment, in the very bosom of the family. The son struggles against his father. He finds revolting what his father has all his life found natural. The daughter rebels against the principles which her mother has handed down to her as the result of long experience. Daily, the popular conscience rises up against the scandals which breed amidst the privileged and the leisured, against the crimes committed in the names of the law of the stronger, or in order to maintain these privileges. Those who long for the triumph of justice, those who would put new ideas into practice, are soon forced to recognize that the realization of their generous, humanitarian, and regenerating ideas cannot take place in a society thus constituted. They perceive the necessity of a revolutionary whirlwind which will sweep away all this rottenness, revive sluggish hearts with its breath, and bring mankind that spirit of devotion, self-denial, and heroism without which society sinks through degradation and vileness into complete disintegration. In periods of frenzied haste toward wealth, of feverish speculation and of crisis, of the sudden downfall of great industries and the ephemeral expansion of other branches of production, of scandalous fortunes amassed in a few years and dissipated as quickly, it becomes evident that the economic institutions which control production and exchange are far from giving to society the prosperity which they are supposed to guarantee. They produce precisely the opposite result. Instead of order, they bring forth chaos. Instead of prosperity, poverty and insecurity. Instead of reconciled interests, war. A perpetual war of the exploiter against the worker, of the exploiters and workers amongst themselves. Human societies seem to be splitting more and more into two hostile camps, and at the same time to be subdividing into thousands of small groups, waging merciless war against each other. Weary of these wars, weary of the miseries which they cause, society rushes to seek a new organization. It clamors loudly for a complete remodeling of the system, of property ownership, of production, and of exchange, and of all economic relations which spring from it. The machinery of government entrusted with the maintenance of the existing order continues to function, but at every turn of its deteriorated gears, it slips and stops. Its working becomes more and more difficult, and the dissatisfaction caused by its defects grows continuously. Every day gives rise to a new demand. Reform this, reform that, is heard from all sides. War, finance, taxes, courts, police, everything must be remodeled, reorganized, established on a new basis, say the reformers. And yet all know that it is impossible to make things over, to remodel anything at all, because everything is interrelated. Everything would have to be remade at once. And how can society be remodeled when it is divided into two openly hostile camps? To satisfy the discontented would be only to create new malcontents. Incapable of undertaking reforms, since this would mean paving the way for revolution, and at the same time too impotent to be frankly reactionary, the governing bodies apply themselves to half measures, which can satisfy nobody, and only cause new dissatisfaction. The mediocrities who, in such transition periods, undertake to steer this ship of state think of but one thing: to enrich themselves against the coming debacle. Attacked from all sides, they defend themselves awkwardly. They evade, they commit blunder upon blunder, and they soon succeed in cutting the last rope of salvation. They drown the prestige of the government in ridicule, caused by their own incapacity. Such periods demand revolution. It becomes a social necessity. The situation itself is revolutionary. That right there is just the introduction. The full tract is about 45 minutes long on audible anarchism. You can get a link on my Substack. Please go check it out. Let's make them pay.